Here is your long, emotional, YouTube-style story with hook, 2 full chapters, plain paragraphs, no headings, and the intro/outro lines you requested. Before the story begins, make sure to like, subscribe, share, comment, and stay with me till the end, because what you're about to hear will stay with you for a long time. The old janitor froze the moment he saw the portrait. His wrinkled hands trembled, his broom fell from his grip, and in a cracked whisper he said, "Ma'am, the girl in this picture, she lived with me in the orphanage." The woman standing beside him, Principal Nadia, felt her pulse spike. Because the girl in the portrait had been missing for 22 years. And somehow, this man recognized her. It all began on a rainy, tired morning when the city school received a mysterious donation, an old, dusty trunk left at the gate with no name, no note, nothing. Inside it, lay a portrait of a young girl with sorrow in her eyes. A girl no one could identify. A girl who looked as if she wanted to speak from the canvas, but time had frozen her forever. That was the moment everything changed. The school hallway smelled of chalk, old books, and memories. Principal Nadia carefully lifted the portrait out of the trunk, her fingertips brushing away the dust. She wasn't someone who believed in signs, but something in that girl's expression, fear mixed with longing, pulled her in. She set the portrait on a table outside her office, unaware that eyes were already watching it closely. Janitor Youssef, a quiet, humble man in his 60s, swept the hall every morning. Many students barely noticed him, but he noticed everything, every tear, every laugh, every lost pencil. When he turned and saw the portrait leaning against the wall, he froze. His breath caught in his throat as if someone had pressed a hand against his chest. The girl in the painting was not just familiar. She was unforgettable. His throat dried. A flood of memories burst into his mind, dark nights in the orphanage, small children huddling under worn blankets, and a little girl with tangled hair who always sat by the window, waiting for someone who never came. Her name had been Aisha. He remembered how she used to whisper, "One day, someone will find me. Someone who knows I belong to them." But no one ever did. Principal Nadia noticed his pale face and stepped closer. "Mr. Youssef? Are you all right?" He swallowed, his voice trembling. "Ma'am, the girl in this portrait, she lived with me in the orphanage." The hallway felt suddenly heavier, as if the walls themselves leaned in to listen. Nadia felt a shiver creep down her spine. "What do you mean?" Youssef slowly reached out, touching the surface of the portrait with shaking fingers. "I knew every child there. But her, she stayed with me the longest. Then one night, she disappeared." Nadia's heart dropped. "Disappeared? How?" Youssef lowered his gaze. "We thought she'd been taken." Silence clutched the air around them. The rain outside the windows grew louder, hitting the glass like desperate knocks, echoing the fear in Youssef's eyes. Nadia took a shaky breath. Why would someone leave this portrait here after so many years? Youssef squeezed his eyes shut. "Because someone wants us to find her." That night, Nadia couldn't sleep. She stared at the portrait under the lamp on her desk. Something didn't make sense. Why deliver this painting to a school? Why now? And why had it been hidden all these years? The next morning, after the final bell rang, Nadia found a student lingering outside her office, Zara, a quiet girl, always alone, always sketching something in her notebook. Zara's eyes were fixed on the portrait. "Do you like it?" Nadia asked softly. The girl whispered, "She looks lost." "Yes," Nadia murmured. "But maybe she wants to be found." Zara hesitated before asking, "Ma'am, what if she's still alive?" The question hung in the air, heavy with possibility. By evening, Nadia and Youssef sat together, trying to piece together every detail Youssef remembered about Aisha. He recalled her voice, her laughter, her fear of thunderstorms, and the way she held her little locket, always close to her chest. A locket? Nadia leaned forward. What kind? It had the letter R carved on it. Nadia sat back slowly. That letter struck something inside her, but she couldn't place it yet. And then, something extraordinary happened. As they turned the portrait around to check its frame, a folded piece of brittle, yellowed paper slipped out, landing gently on the desk. Nadia unfolded it with trembling hands. Inside was a message. Find the truth in the place where she once hid her tears. And beneath that, a date. The same date as tomorrow. The next day arrived with an uneasiness that gripped the entire school. Nadia and Yusef stood by the old orphanage building, now abandoned and half swallowed by vines and dust. The paint had peeled, the windows shattered, and the air inside felt like it had held its breath for decades. Yusef led the way through dark corridors filled with memories he wished he could forget. Every corner echoed with laughter long gone, and every shadow felt like a lingering ghost of childhoods lost too soon. Where did she usually sit? Nadia asked, her flashlight trembling in her hand. In the attic, Yusef whispered. Whenever she cried, she hid there. They climbed the creaking wooden steps, each one threatening to snap. The attic door groaned open, revealing a dim, forgotten room. Cobwebs hung like old curtains. Dust floated in the air like trapped time. And there, near the small window, was a wooden chest. Nadia's heart hammered. Was this here before? No, Yusef said. I've never seen it. Nadia knelt and unlatched it. Inside, carefully preserved, were tiny objects. A faded hair ribbon. A pair of worn shoes. A child's drawing of a woman holding a little girl's hand. And at the bottom, a rusted locket with the letter R. Nadia felt a punch in her chest. I've seen this before, she whispered. Yusef frowned. Where? My mother had one just like this. But hers had the letter A. She always told me it was part of a pair. She opened the locket with trembling fingers. Inside, was a picture of a baby. A baby that looked exactly like Nadia when she was small. Her breath shattered. No. This can't be real. Yusef stepped closer. Ma'am, what are you saying? Tears streamed down her cheeks as she whispered, Aisha wasn't just a girl from your orphanage. She was my sister. The attic felt smaller suddenly. The air grew heavier. Years of unanswered questions, empty spaces in her childhood, her mother's quiet sadness, all clicked together like pieces of a puzzle long kept hidden. My mother, she used to tell me I had a twin. But she died at birth. Nadia's voice cracked. But that wasn't the truth. Yusef sat slowly on an old wooden box, his face pale. Your mother, she never came for Aisha. But Aisha always believed someone was looking for her. Nadia gripped the locket to her chest, sobbing. Where did she go? Who took her? Yusef opened his mouth to answer, but footsteps echoed from below. Both turned sharply. The footsteps were slow. Deliberate. Someone else was in the orphanage. Nadia held her breath. Who's there? The footsteps stopped at the attic door. A voice, female, soft, trembling, spoke. I knew you'd come. A woman stepped into the light. Her clothes were worn, her hair unkempt, but her eyes, those same sorrowful eyes from the portrait, shone with tears. Nadia's world shattered and rebuilt in a single second. Aisha, she whispered. The woman nodded, tears pouring down her cheeks. Yusef covered his mouth in shock. You're alive. Aisha walked slowly toward Nadia. I left this portrait at the school, because I knew you would see it. I didn't know how else to find you. Nadia collapsed into her arms. Years of pain, separation, and longing washed away in a storm of tears. Aisha held her tightly, whispering, I never stopped hoping you'd come.